007 Last Light is less than 24 hours away from release, and people are excited. And granted, people are also very, very needless to say. Because when we first got the announcement of it, we saw the trailers, we saw the marketing, and a lot of people were looking at it and being like, this looks like DEI heaven, kinda, right? And the typical response was, yes, yes. The graphics are bad because the graphics actually look terrible in some places. Now, granted, that could have changed. We're going to be watching an early review. And by the way, the early reviews are also currently pretty much given out only to your typical crowd. Luke, friend of the channel, Steffens, obviously. Skill Up, mixtape, a 10 out of 10, highly recommend. And other people with similar tastes in acquiring money no matter the moral consequences. It's great, don't worry about it, honestly. But a lot of people are very worried. When I first saw 007 Last Light, I was like, oh, a Bond game, that's exciting. And then I saw the trailer and I was instantaneously like, Sam, what do you think of this? Is this folk or am I crazy? And Sam's a great girl. She's lovely, she's fun, she's smart, she's interesting. And she told me, how do you keep getting my number? I blocked you. Can't you leave me alone, you creepy stalker? And I replied, Sam, it's not the time for your women stuff, okay? This is serious business right here. It's gaming. We need an answer, Sam. We need an answer now. And then she said, if I tell you, will you leave me alone, finally? And I said, yes, nodding my head. I lied, by the way. But Sam said afterwards, yes, it looks garbage. It looks woke. It looks DEI. I mean, your bosses are all empowered women of color. It is what it is. So let's see if this is true. Let's see how good the first impressions are. Also, the fact that the first impressions are by these people in literally less than 24 hours until the game launches, not the greatest situation.
007 First Light is like exactly the kind of game that I was hoping it would be. This is of course coming from IO Interactive, or IOI, the team behind the Hitman games. Also Freedom Fighters, if you played that back in the day. That's a deep cut, but ooh. That's my childhood right there. I don't know why I was allowed to play that game as a kid, but Pokemon was off limits. But hey, I'm not complaining.
Pokemon was the devil's lettuce.
It was awesome. With 007 First Light, their goal was to make an action-adventure game with big set...
A lot of motion blur, and this is not real gameplay.
...pieces, crazy high production value cinematics, all while sprinkling in their expertise when it came to gameplay dynamism that they're bringing over from Hitman. And this really is a match made in heaven. Like, I cannot think of another studio that is more...
Yeah, you see what I actually like this. Yeah, but you see what I mean? The graphics don't look good. Like I can see the fucking polygons on this bad boy. We're talking about biblically accurate Lara Croft on some of these graphics.
More perfectly suited for a James Bond 007 game.
Also, boys, leave down in the comments right now. Do you think this is a classic Lukey Poo review? Where he says game is amazing and then he does not show a single bit of gameplay. He did it for Gothic. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it for this. Also, Luke, again, friend of the channel, great guy. I do love him, but money speaks louder than words. Luke has been probably caught more than once lying about playing games. I personally made a video where he was shilling a game. Some kind of survival base builder thing, Valheim style, and he was like, I'm really addicted to the game, I have played blah blah blah, and it's the same character, same self-built base and all of the things as exactly like 15 other channels that got paid. It was funny.
Truly, this is exactly who I would have assigned it to, because they have the experience when it comes to espionage and like high stakes, sneaky and stealth gameplay. But then they also have a lot of experience when it comes to scalability for their projects, and then also narrative. They're pretty...
Oh wow, that did not look that great.
good writers as well. And from the moment the game was revealed, a lot of people saw this vision and saw how perfectly this match was made. I mean, it does not take a genius.
Did we? I'm pretty sure we didn't. Everyone, when we saw the first trailers, the first everything, people were like, oh, no, 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 no.
To see what the inspirations here are. From the first trailer, we could see that this basically looked like Hitman mixed with Uncharted, and that is exactly what I would hope that it would turn out to be. And I am so glad to report that that's what it is, and it even does a lot of things better than Uncharted, and also other things better than Hitman.
That's
like, it's
decent.
really impressive what they've pulled off here. To be honest, I'm not even sure if comparing it to Uncharted is totally fair, because Uncharted was known for pretty linear gameplay sequences that all played out the same from moment to moment, but
Oh my god. They applied cloth physics to fucking suits. A suit is not supposed to dangle like a fucking sweater. It's supposed to be rigid. Okay, that's what a suit does. It doesn't dangle like this.
pretty linear gameplay sequences that all played out the same from moment to moment, but 007 First Light offers another layer of gameplay complexity that really makes it stand on its own. This isn't exactly on the same level as Hitman. Obviously, they're trying to tell a linear story over the course of the game's campaign, so
I'm sorry, was that really a takedown?
that really makes it stand on its own. This isn't exactly on the same level as Hitman.
Okay, so he just slides on the floor so he can get into the grip.
And obviously they're trying to tell a linear
suplex and then a hit. I don't know exactly, but I assume the jaw? Okay. Not the worst, but definitely not good.
Story over the course of the game's campaign. So they do need you to start in one spot and end in another. But instead of having one string connecting those two dots, they end up having 15 strings connecting it. And you can go down each and every single one if you want to, reloading chapters, replaying, and trying different approaches. To give you an example, during the preview event we went to for this game a handful of weeks ago, we played through this sequence. So it's one you've seen before, which is why I'll go into a little bit more detail with it.
Oh, geez.
Where basically you have to break into a security office and get access to some CCTV footage because you're chasing down a guy that did something bad. I'll leave it there. And during the preview event, I experimented with a couple of different approaches, but my final run ended up being a little bombastic, a lot of punching and throwing. It was a little less graceful than I probably would have liked it to be. But I'll give them credit. The hand-to-hand combat is really, really well done. Actually, apparently they hired one of the original combat animators and designers for Batman Arkham Knight to work on this, which I think you can see the inspirations. The interact
I can't, and that's not what I want in my Hitman game, to be completely honest.
activity between
I'd feel better if you would hire, like, Assassin's Creed 2 animators or something like that for this.
NPCs and the objects around them, being able to throw coffee mugs, slam heads into tables and everything without specific prompts to do it. It makes hand-to-hand combat feel truly contextual and appropriate for the place where it's taking place. It's really, really well done. It makes every time I was discovered and got into a fist fight feel like, fair enough, let's go. It worked really well. But eventually we broke into this courtyard where the game challenged you to just simply escape the courtyard. At the preview event, I will be honest, I killed everybody. I shot everybody and I fought my way out, at least the first time I did it. And I was able to get the key card and escape just fine because there's a key card that could open the door. In order to find the key card, I had to go and fight through tons of enemies. I don't know how many there were, but dozens upon dozens. And eventually, after wiping the entire map, basically,
the bullets look pretty nice. The bullet animations and ricochets and whatnot, that seems good. That looks nice, though.
Of human life. I went, found the one security guard that had the key card I needed, and I got out. However, when I was playing this,
yeah, the takedowns, not the takedowns, but the whole bullet deaths seem good.
For review, I actually just snuck up to an area above the door by some like light parkouring, flipped a switch on a generator that powered off the security doors, and then I just took out a couple of guards next to the door by like calling them over and luring them over to me, stealthily took them out and walked out the door. I only took out like 3 or 4 people. the whole time in the courtyard, whereas previously I took out like generations of people. And this is what I mean when I say that the game has a ton of dynamics. Like, you are able to approach things in tons of different ways that will be different.
Also, by the way, in case you missed that, he has been already lathered up by getting wined and dined by the people making this game. So, that does not impact opinions in the slightest, as we all obviously know, right?
For every player. Like, one person may get through a room of enemies in 2 minutes, stealthily making their way around them and having no problem at all. Others may get into a firefight and require like...
It is nice that it gives you options of, what do you want to do? Do you want a stealth approach? Do you want a action approach, or whatever you want to do? That's nice. Giving options is very neat. So, but that's what you would kind of expect from the Hitman people. The question now is not, are the levels decently designed? Are the graphics kind of outdated Bethesda tier shit? Because they are. They definitely are not as good as you would expect, clearly. Unless this is some kind of mega rendering issue, which it could be, by the way. It could be YouTube compression, technically. But, man, that would be extremely, extremely bad, considering we have seen the trailers and whatnot, but it's not a lot better.
5 minutes of shooting gallery work to get all the way through. But for me, that keeps things really exciting. And honestly, even though I just finished the game earlier today, I want to start another playthrough. Like right now, play it on the hardest difficulty, trying to intentionally take different routes on everything I do, because they support that, because the developers built the game in a way where they can tolerate that much stress and pressure on the gameplay sequences that they put in here, which is just so nice. Like, so often with these cinematic narrative games, they can't support that. Like, if you go and challenge yourself to take on a stealth sequence in a different way, it's going to basically play out the same way, because that's just how it's been built. But because these guys are the ones that did Hitman, they have genuinely unique paths for you to take. To be clear, it is not on the same level as Hitman. If people are thinking that they're going to basically get just Hitman with cutscenes, that's not what it is.
Bro, is the climbing animation literally Hitman, by the way?
They've built everything here in a way where it makes sense narratively, and they aren't trying to like force you into spending 45 minutes slowly walking from objective to objective when it feels like James Bond should just go right up there and be bombastic and crazy, as you see in this sequence here, where this probably is not something that Agent 47 would typically do. Yeah, it totally is, but you get what I mean. Like, if there's times where they want you to be a little bit more forceful and bombastic, they'll take you into a more linear encounter. But then if they want to challenge you...
Bro, baby, I'm sorry. The counterweight just got shot off. I'm pretty sure it's collapsing now.
They'll take you into a more linear encounter, but then if they want to challenge you to come up with your own solution to gameplay, they will give you that opportunity and the sequence will open up. But the whole game is constantly doing this thing where it's opening and then closing and compressing. Then it opens and lets you find 15 different solutions to the problem, and then it goes a little bit tighter as it takes you through a linear sequence that's really cinematic and crazy. And I'm going to be honest, that is like perfect for me. I love that so much, but you have to meet the game where it's at. And I already know there's going to be...
Now, granted, so far it doesn't seem bad, except the motion blur. This is like literally killing me. Optimization is definitely going to be something I feel that people are going to not appreciate about this game.
Some people who try to play this like Hitman and will probably be frustrated by it. And then I'm expecting some people are going to try to play it like Uncharted, and they're going to expect it to be like really linear, and then they're going to be frustrated when the game gives them a ton of open options and they're like, yeah, find a way to
Yes, people are frustrated when they are given options. Yes, too bad all the most successful things are open world and open to interpretation. Gee, man, that's going to be crazy. People are going to be so frustrated.
Get $100,000 in cash to go to this auction. Figure it out. And some people are going to be frustrated by that. I, though, for one, love it. And that brings up perhaps an important point, which is that I don't really know what else to compare this game to. Obviously, it's inspired by Hitman, shocker, and Uncharted, but there really is not an Uncharted game quite exactly like this, and there's not a Hitman game quite like this. It really truly is in a league of its own, very uniquely, and I love it for that, but it makes it kind of hard to explain to people if they're just comparing it to Uncharted or just comparing it to Hitman, because it really is a melding of those things. It's not quite as intense in terms of total open-endedness as Hitman, but I think it actually works better because it's paired with Uncharted. It works better as a narrative game and as a adventure game that's got thriller elements and stuff to it because they're able to mix those things really well. Speaking of the story, the performances across the board are really, really well done. All of the voice acting, the motion capture, the animation, it's all been tremendously well executed here. And truly, every cutscene that I saw in the game was fully like motion captured, carefully blocked, was super cinematic, was phenomenally well performed as well. It is just so refreshing to see, especially in an age where a bunch of studios are trying to cut costs by doing these like rigid.
Is that the main bad guy? This guy? Because this seems like your typical cliche of, oh, we were friends while training, but then he decided to betray us. Oh no, the tragedy.
Where a bunch of studios are trying to cut costs by doing these like rigid robot animations for stuff. It's so nice to see a lot of effort put into it, and it's really well done. The writing is also compelling and kept me on my toes the whole time. I'm gonna be honest, you know, Scout's honor confession, I'm not a scout. Anyway, I'm the guy that usually is watching a movie and I'm like, I bet this is gonna happen. I bet that's the plot twist. I bet he sees dead people. Like, I'm that guy, okay? But even like, I was surprised a couple of times in the story. Was like, oh wait, thinking back to a line that was said, oh, that's cool. And that kept me on my toes all the way through.
Actually, I want to see the dialogue. Tariq here does not agree with that sentiment.
Line that was said, oh, that's cool. And that kept me on my toes all the way through the 15-hour runtime. I was really pleasantly surprised at how high stakes they were able to keep the game feeling from like hour 5 all the way through. Even some characters I started out feeling iffy on ended up being like pretty endearing to me. And I think they just did a really good job in terms of writing, performances, everything. It's very well done. There were even times early in the game where I was wondering if they had thought through certain plot points, like why are they sending the new recruits on this mission instead of like really experienced?
And actually, does this even count as a white woman? Or is this just like, oh, we're gonna kind of make it look black, but not black, but you know that type of shit.
Is everything. It's very well done. There were even times
one bridge black female
early in the game where I was wondering if they had thought through
this is definitely 2 more
certain plot points, like why are they sending?
And there you have 1 white and 2 Asians, maybe?
Well done. There were even times.
What do we see further? White, maybe white. I'm not sure.
Early in the game where I was wondering if they had thought through certain plot points.
Kind of hard to tell.
Like, why are they sending the new recruits on this mission instead of like really experienced operatives or something? And the writers had actually considered that and wrote in explanations.
Okay, this is white.
For
why
somebody like
Asian
Bond who doesn't have any experience at all.
I'm pretty sure not. Maybe Italian?
Why he would be going.
The classic question of the Italian.
And taking on this challenge instead of a more experienced operative. It was really, really nice to see that.
No, yeah. Well, the diversity is pretty high on this one, huh?
Even when you're like looking for plot holes.
Also, the hell was that face? What the fuck?
It was really, really nice to see that even when you're like looking for plot.
Yeah, there's something wrong with the animation here.
Plot holes, they had thought through most of them. There are still a couple of plot points where I'm like, not so sure about that. Like, I want to ask them if I get the chance and see if there is an explanation, or maybe I missed a line of dialogue. But overall, for a video game script, it's really, really solid. I also just got to say, the Hitman inspirations have really added to the overall like minute-to-minute gameplay when it comes to the narrative, because all of the dialogue written by NPCs, whether they are cleaners working in a closet, or if they are staff behind a bar, or just NPCs waiting to check into a hotel room, they have all got dialogue specific to that mission and to what's going on. So you will be walking through the hallways of the Grand Carpathian Hotel, and you will hear somebody make reference to a lady who's throwing a fit outside of her hotel room upstairs. And normally in a video game, you would just ignore that. But if you actually...
Why would you ignore that in a video game? Bruv, if that's just a throwaway line, then that's the worst video game fucking ever.
listen to that piece of
Bro,
dialogue that
come
was
on.
unprompted, go upstairs, you can find her and she has information that will progress the story or one of your objectives. Like, again, it is just such a
Okay.
perfect
No, yes, yes,
melding of Hitman
yes.
and Uncharted
No, no. Not sure.
that it
Yes, yes. No, yes.
works so well, because
I'm pretty sure no.
often with Uncharted, like,
Um,
let's be honest, you could play through the main story and every time there's a cutscene, pay attention. But when you're in moment-to-moment gameplay, you can kind of mentally check out. It's fine, especially like guards are going to just have generic guard dialogue and that's it. But they have managed to do something that even Uncharted couldn't do, which was to totally focus at all times on all the dialogue that's taking place in room to room from every NPC, because you never know what little bit of information you may learn. Now, in terms of gameplay, I should say that this, again, is not quite on the level of Hitman when it comes to total player freedom and everything being totally open-ended, because you are playing a member of His Majesty's Secret Service. As a result, you can't go full murder hobo. It just isn't going to be acceptable. There are times where you are specifically granted license to kill, and then you can go shooting and guns blazing if you want to. But in those moments, you can only go and kill like the people threatening your life or the lives of others. You can't just go casually like killing a security guard who's done nothing wrong and is just working his job. You
his head went through the wall. Okay.
can't go and kill a maid because she's in the way. It's not going to let you do that. That makes sense in the context of the story. But again, if you're looking to play this like Hitman, where everything is just totally open-ended, you may end up being a little frustrated, you know? I personally appreciate that they don't let you go full murder.
The combat and shooting seem good. At least good enough. I'm not a fan of the Gotham style of combat, honestly, but it's nice. It's good enough. I'm just not a fan person.
Hobo as 007, because that wouldn't make sense, but I understand some people may be frustrated by that if they're looking to play this like Hitman. Now, like I said at the top, the game is not perfect. There are plenty of moments that I feel like the pacing
Oh boy, here comes the negative bots. They're never good, Luke. Why do you even do them? The negative bots don't have a bite. They don't have depth.
is just a little off. Certain characters that I'd like to see more of, such as Bavma, I'd like to see more of him. But honestly, his part in the game is actually quite minimal, which is surprising considering he was a pretty big marketing beat for the game. And he just kind of comes and goes fairly quickly. And I would have liked to have seen more, if I'm being honest. At the same time, there's a couple of other gameplay sequences that carry on a little longer than I think they needed to. A couple of moments where I'm like, they could have explored that maybe a little less, you know, so the balance is just a little off in a couple spots, but nothing that's particularly egregious. It's just like by the end of the sequence, I was like, okay, good. Okay, we're moving forward, you know? Another thing that kind of frustrated me was actually the gadgets that you have access to. You have access to a pretty wide range of them, whether it's your dart phone, the laser beam on your watch, a camera that shoots like a blast wave, a smoke pod that's hidden in a lighter, and then there's others that you unlock later, like a rocket pen and stuff like that. But honestly, like there's only a couple that I think are really viable. Like if I'm being honest, the dart phone and the laser.
Bro, what was that animation? What? What in the name of Spider-Man just happened there?
On your watch are probably going to get you through 99% of situations just fine. Like even when you need to pickpocket somebody, just shooting them with a little poison dart instantaneously registers them as distracted, so you can pickpocket them easily. If there's ever anything you need to pickpocket, you just poison, grab, that's it. I would like to have seen maybe a nerf of that to make it less useful, honestly, because it felt a little broken at times or even overly necessary. And I
Okay, yeah. As always, the negative parts about the thing are not in depth. The positive parts are, I guess, everything. The story, Luke's not touching on the story, which that is a red flag, okay? I believe what he says when he says this is good, this is okay, blah, 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 in some cases. Not all, but some. But, there is a big but here. He hasn't mentioned anything about the story. He has just said, oh, the story had like 2 flips or some garbage like that, which doesn't tell me anything, okay? And the negatives currently are, as always, as superfluous as they can be.
And to just play with the other tools and see what other solutions I come where they do explore and celebrate a lot of big James Bond cliches, such as driving and like the famous Aston Martin cars and stuff. And it just felt like maybe they ran out of dev time, or maybe they had to
Wow, this fucking looks bad.
cut some sequence that was going to be there. It just feels like something was missing. I will say that there are some things there apparently. Maybe that's the sequel. Maybe I'm something a lot of us were wondering about for months in the lead up to the game's launch. But straight up, what they've done here.
Yeah, I mean, what did I honestly expect from Luke in this situation? It's pretty much a wind and dine preview of this situation. I'm assuming skill up and all the other people are going to be the same. So, I'm not expecting anything good. Granted, I'm not expecting a disaster also, to be fair, but I'm definitely not expecting, like, something mind-blowing. I think best case scenario, it's mid. Anyway, that was Luke Stephenson out of 10. Bye!